Doesn't matter to me, whatever's easier for you.
I can't hear the noise, so I don't know.
Okay. Then it sounds like it's not a problem. If it's gonna be okay for the broadcast, it doesn't bother me much. Yeah.
Yeah, I talk really loud, so for me personally, that's yeah.
Might be just because it's right in my ears too, so that's why I notice it so much.
Right.
Not that earbuds wouldn't be any better. That's just directly inside of my ears. So I have this fun theory, this kind of conspiracy theory that millennials are going to go deaf way faster than other generations because we grew up with earbuds in.
That
The
would
level
not
to which I feel
surprise
like
me.
my hearing has suffered as a 32-year-old already is like, giving me anecdotal evidence, of course, but we'll
Yeah,
find
no,
out.
I had earbuds plus airplanes have probably not been.
Not great.
You have to turn them up to hear over sides.
Sorry, it's too loud. Let me just put these noisemakers directly into my eardrums.
Exactly. We're like, man, this ambient noise is really loud. Let me turn it louder.
15 years later, you can't hear anything.
Woo.
Woo. There everybody
Yeah,
is.
this is
Hey.
yes. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
So so first of all, I'm your host. I'm Mariah. And before we do introductions, I'm going to start off by telling a story that comes from my fiance who had an at-home workout fail that I think is just perfect to tell before starting this. So, like 3 or 4 hours ago, he was working out with resistance bands and he puts the band through the door and then closes the door for resistance, except he put the band too far into the door, so he was stuck. So we had to use pliers and some screwdriver and another tool I don't know what the name of to like force the band outside the door. So so which is odd. Took us like 15 minutes, but he was actually literally quarantined. So with that in mind, why don't we get to introductions? So I'm your host. I'm Mariah. I went to school at Winona State for exercise science. I'm one of the few who graduated with a degree they're not currently using, but health and wellness is a passion of mine. So, and pronouns are she, her, hers. So, whoever wants to go next.
I'll pick it up.
I can go next.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
Oh, well, thank you. I am Britt Johnson. I use they, them pronouns. I am a certified yoga instructor. I've taught at Real Life Coffee and Yoga. I have done a lot of Yoga Quest as assistant teaching. So I really find it passionate and I'm very passionate about equity in joyful movement. And I am an elementary school teacher by day.
That's so cool.
Yeah, 4th grade. Best and worst people I've ever met.
That's funny. Britt, my wife is actually a 5th grade elementary school teacher, and she has
bless
similar
her.
things to say about 5th graders.
Yeah. Once hormones come into it, I'm out.
So I'll pick up where you left off then. Hi, I'm Rob. I'm a certified personal trainer. I went to school at the University of Minnesota in Duluth. I actually got my degree in anthropology with a focus in pre-Columbian archaeology. So like you, Mariah, I am super not using my degree. When I graduated liberal arts degree. But I've been a personal trainer for 8.5, almost 9 years now, and I am the owner of an online personal training business called D20 Athletics.
Awesome.
And last of all, I'm Ray. I am a writer primarily in Parenting Geeky for Twin Cities Geek. I am currently a person who is trying to get an 8-year-old motivated to move around the house because there's been a lot more couch potatoing than usual due to current circumstances. I did not go to college. Well, I started a dance major, but my degree is ultimately in something else. But moving has been a lifelong passion of mine.
Excellent. So, for anyone and everyone who's joining us, a lot of this discussion is going to range between a variety of different topics, whether it be physical fitness, mental wellness during quarantine, even like parenting, exactly that. I am not a parent, but man, that must be challenging.
Oh.
Hello. Oh, Okay,
Wow.
good. I totally thought I just ruined it because I was definitely talking and I'm like, oops, did something. So that's cool. All right. Yes.
So
Anyway,
that's
so just
cool.
some general, kind of tips, like what's getting you through quarantine health wise, whether it's a workout, whether it's any mental health tips, tricks. I'm gonna leave the floor open for you all.
Yeah, I mean, I am an extreme extrovert, and my day typically is spent surrounded by 65 humans that all need to talk to me at the same time. So I had a hard time adjusting at first from like full blown like every day. Okay, I'm on the go. I'm always on, and then all of a sudden, I'm like at home by myself. It's me and my wife, and that's it. Uh, so I found like video calling friends has been like really helpful. Video calling family, like really trying to stay connected even over distance. And then I've also found like gamifying like routines to be really helpful. Like I'm not sure if anybody else uses like I think it's Habitica. It's like a gamified habit making like app where you can like get like experience points for like brushing your teeth or flossing or working out for 10 minutes or things like that. So that's been really helpful to like keep my routine rather than just being like, oh, it's like summer vacation. I don't need to do anything, which is really hard to like not turn off and go into like summer mode.
Mhm.
I would say for me, it's maybe been focusing a little bit on the concept of the impermanence of life, uh, which sounds bad, but it's more of the idea that this will pass, and
Mm.
it might take a
Mhm.
bit longer than is going to be comfortable, but eventually things change. We've been trying to use a similar thing to gamification for motivation, at least for my daughter, where she's currently working on earning points by doing various activities that aren't Animal Crossing, as fun and as mentally necessarily as that is. One cannot play Animal Crossing for 24 hours a day, mainly because there's other people in the house that want to play the game, and also because there's, I mean, it's just, it may be filling at least a mental need, but it doesn't fill a physical need. So she has been working on getting points, some of which can be done through physical activities to get enough points for a giant squishy cat that is rainbow
Cool.
colored and is also a unicorn.
Delightful.
And for me, trying to stay active obviously is a huge part of it, but I am a total workaholic. I came out of like a 7-day work week. Like before quarantine started, I don't think I had like a weekend programmed into my schedule for the better part of like 2 years. So that's brand new to me, like not tying my idea of who I am as a person to my level of productivity has been a difficult thread to separate from myself. We also have a 1-year-old, so she keeps, and like I said, my wife is a teacher, so she's doing distance learning right now. So most of the time it's me with the baby, and she's able to pop in on her breaks and help out sometimes. But it's just like going from being with clients and talking to adults about adult things and doing workouts and programming on all this stuff and running a business to just like toddler time, full blast, 24/7. There are no breaks for like what is like 50 days now. It's a lot. And I found that I write my like daily goals on a little post-it note and I just stick it right on the dinner table where I sit down to drink my coffee or be on the computer next to the baby. So I'll just like cross things off as I do them. And then I want to accomplish everything on one post-it note in a day, and it just transfers on to the next day's post-it note. But I found that setting small goals for myself over the course of the day, and it's only as a day, not like the whole week. I'll go crazy if I do that. But daily small goals that are super duper achievable has been very helpful for me to stay active and stay sane.
Yeah, and I would agree with that too. I mean, because I used to go work downtown and I would take the bus to go to work, and now I'm at home where I'm sitting and on my laptop and I don't move much. So I think it does help, whether it is goal setting or just planning out some sort of routine, whether it's like I work out always on like the noon lunch hour as my lunch work
Mm.
break. And that seems to really help me, or like even what Rick had said earlier, that they use that app to really help give more fun to the routine. Which I haven't heard of. Can you repeat that one more time? Like, what was that? What was that called?
It's called Habitica. It's like Habitica, and it's free, which is nice because I've used like Flora to help like stay focused with like work time. Like, all right, I'm gonna stay super focused for like 20 minutes, and then I get like a 5 or 10 minute break. But Habitica is like nice because it breaks down your whole day rather than just 20-minute times.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think going off of Rob's point, another lead into something that I think is going to be really a good discussion point is for anyone who's stuck in quarantine with kids, which like I said, I'm not a parent, so I don't have to worry about this, but how do you interesting to touch on? That's not something I would know.
At least for my daughter, at least I can say that like most humans who, when they find themselves in a frustrating situation, giving her something that she can control has made a huge difference. We try and outline, at least, here's the expectations. We expect that you are going to do your schoolwork each day because, it's what you do. That's your job. It's part of the expectation that you will be doing a little bit to be active every day. We will give you options of ideas to do. If you have other ideas, then that's great. And, we'll talk about them and see if they work for what the goal is that you're trying to achieve. It's, I guess, more basically outlining together, here's what you have to pick from. You can pick the order, you can figure out how this is going to go together, and it kind of makes for things a little bit smoother. Sometimes there might be a little bit more nudging that's needed, but I mean, that's true for everyone. And sometimes there's just big feelings that need to be dealt with. And that's very much true for everyone as well, too.
And then Rob,
Yeah,
what about
definitely.
you? 'Cause you stream your workouts through your Facebook group. I mean, I'm assuming you have a schedule then worked out. Obviously, so there's not interruptions there from the little one. Like, tell me how that works for you.
So, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, we have our daughter on more or less a nap schedule. So she usually naps around like 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'll try and stream then if I have the chance. We're also very fortunate to be able to still drop her off at my in-laws because they don't go anywhere. They're both retired. So we drop her off there twice a week for some daycare. So I'm able to stream on Monday mornings and Friday mornings because that's when she's there. And for my personal workouts, I'll work out here in my dungeon, my brojo. But that takes, so I've stopped trying to work out when she naps because I've learned that's very unpredictable. If all I needed was 10 minutes to get in and move around, then I could probably make that happen. But for my personal workouts, I need a little bit more time to be focused. So I'll push my personal stuff back until my wife is off of work and she's able to take the baby for a while, for like an hour to an hour and a half sometimes. And I can come down here, do my thing, get showered, be ready to go. So I'm able to play teamwork a lot more with that with my partner, which has been extremely helpful. So supporting each other has been extremely helpful and important during this whole process with the kid.
So it sounds like really it's scheduling workouts around little one's nap time, but also communicating with your partner, whoever you're quarantined with. Doesn't have to be a romantic partner, friend, whoever is with you at that moment, just coordinating with them is really your key to success.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then, any thoughts from you, Britt? I mean, you know, you mentioned you're a fourth grade teacher. I mean, I don't know how that's really impacting with the teaching that you do with them virtually, even.
Yeah, I know for me, I try to like just like in general, like in my life, I try to assign things that kids can work on their own. So like that involve a lot of videos so that it's not as dependent on parents having to help them because parents are either still working at home or they're still having to go out and work, depending on if they're an essential worker. I've been doing yoga as part of like our after school enrichment program virtually with them, but I made it so that families can also join in. So I've done sessions with, you know, fourth, fifth graders, and then they have like toddlers that come and join and also try to move. I have one parent that, you know, joins in, just trying to make it a space that like parents can also just take the time to participate and do something with their kiddos that they don't have to like think about. They can just move their bodies and they don't have to entertain them. Because it's a huge change in routine for the kids. Like they're having a hard time adjusting. Like, you know, they might not always say it, but I have kids that are like, it feels like I moved away. And I'm like, yeah, this is hard. You know, we're here for the rest of the school year, not with each other. So it's kind of trying to teach them that it's okay to have those big feelings and it's okay to be flexible and that, you know, it might feel uncertain, but, you know, we're doing this so we stay safe. So
I'm just picturing a Zoom or some sort of meeting with little kids doing yoga, and that just is like melting my heart in my mental image of what that looks like. I just think
we
that's just
make a lot of
adorable.
animal noises and like a seated cat and cow where you run through like an imaginary field of flowers and then you hug the cutest puppy you've ever seen. So you give yourself a hug. Yeah, no, it's great. Like kids get really into it and they really like to make the noises.
Oh my gosh, that's too cute. Why don't we even like talk about yoga? I mean, I know Britt, you know a lot about Yoga Quest, but I mean, even like, are there any other local yoga studios doing virtual classes? I mean, I know Yoga Quest is.
Mhm. Yeah, Yoga Quest is doing virtual classes. They did a Tiger King Quest recently, and they also did Star Trek Quest. Um, and I know that they have their online like program where it's sort of like Netflix, but it's like yoga quests essentially, which is a little strange. Like when I do them at home, I'm like, oh look, I'm in this video, which is kind of like a weird thing to like be like, all right, I'm doing this adventure, and now I'm watching myself. Weird. But I know there's a lot of studios that are offering things through like Facebook Live. Other ones are doing Zoom, where you pay for like your class and then you Zoom on into the meeting. I would say there's a handful of like free ones. It does tend to be a little bit more unpredictable with like free yoga classes online. Sometimes you can find them through Instagram, but you know it can be all over the world, which is actually really cool. But if we're thinking for like accessibility, it's a little more hit and miss on whether or not it's a really actual body positive space. So I know Jessamine Stanley does a virtual class. She does some really cool stuff around like accessibility, as well as like Diane Bondi. She does online classes, and she really helped create the Yoga for All movement, which is really awesome. So all of her postures, everything like that, are 100% accessible, taught multiple ways, whether it's in a chair, seated on the ground, completely standing. So I mean, there's a lot of things out there. You just kind of have to dig through a lot of it to get to the really, really good stuff, I think. Yeah.
That's super
So when
dope. Can
you
you tell me
say,
I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Can you give me that name of that accessible yoga class again? That we were just talking about?
It's called Diane Bondi, and it's called Yoga for All. Her and Amber Carnes, they created, it's actually a training program. So you can actually get certified in how to teach all of these like multiple adaptations for movements. It's really cool. Yeah, no, totally worth it. Diane Bondi is amazing, fantastic, like woman of color who's like, she is like the name really for accessible yoga. So
Cool. I'll check that out. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
The other thing I want to mention too, one thing we thought that was going to be super useful after this is over, is to compile basically a huge recap of everything we talked about and put it under a post for Fit Geek. So if we are talking very fast, which I know I'm the queen of talking fast, we hope to have that up too, so that in case you're looking for something we said 5 or 10 minutes ago, we hope to have a recap post for Fit Geek as well. So just wanted to throw that out there since there's been a lot of good things being mentioned thus far. So one thing that was mentioned even with Britt's last point is accessibility. I mean, gyms are closed. So what are some movements, whether it be yoga, weightlifting, any way that you move your body without equipment? For many of us, if we rely on a space that has this equipment for us, when it's not there, it's kind of like, whoa, what do I do now? So if we can even just brainstorm, what are some good movements, whether it be for anyone able-bodied, disability, like accessible movements that one can do with little to no equipment.
Well, if you want to know about home workouts, I got you covered. So I should say, speaking from a perspective of someone who works with almost exclusively very able-bodied clients, so I'm speaking very quickly again. The stuff that I have a lot of my clients do online, if they have no equipment, is we do a lot of obviously body weight work. I'm a big fan of burpees, lunges. We do way too many push-ups and the workouts that I stream. I know because I do them as well. We also I really like to recommend to people too, especially right now, because I think we've mentioned a few times sitting a lot more. It's stuff like planks, prone planks on your elbows and your toes, and hip bridges, which I think Britt would probably know something about as well. It's definitely a big yoga movement. Yeah, so strengthening your core, your torso, everything from pits to hips is your core too, not just your abs. Front, back, sides, all three dimensions got to be worked, but really work on your butt muscles, because they're just getting flattened out as we sit down and play Animal Crossing for 18 hours a day. I'm guilty of that too. Getting those to like turn on and like flex, and like I'm making this motion because you're going up and down. Getting those to turn on is going to be a lot of great work for those muscles to support your back and your posture and stuff like that, so that when we do get to get up and walk around, everyone's not walking around like this. We can actually be like highly evolved human beings and like interact with each other standing upright. But yeah, there's a ton of like obviously you can see that my stuff, I've been accumulating stuff. I know that sweet headset. I know I've been accumulating stuff here for years. So I've got kind of a dope setup, but like not everyone has a bike. Not everyone has kettlebells, several kettlebells. Almost no one has a co-coach Terrence hanging out in their backyard. But if you can find equipment, stuff like a single kettlebell, I'm a big fan of. Mariah mentioned resistance bands, getting a lot of mileage out of that. So if you're looking to build a space, build a home gym, or just like a corner in your kitchen where you want to work out, you don't need a lot. Like you don't need a bike, you don't need an elliptical, you don't need a Bowflex or whatever. Something that can help you move things that are heavier than you would normally move them. Does that make sense? Even just like a backpack full of books. You can use that for squats or presses, or just wear it and walk up. And when she was very young, and our daughter would just cry and cry and cry and cry and cry, and I didn't have time to get a workout. We have this the baby strap, and I just put her in the front pack, and I just walk up and down the stairs for like 20 minutes, and I'd get my workout, and then she'd fall asleep. So that was a good way to do that. So really being able to flex your gray matter as well as your soft tissue becomes very important in times like this when there's not the traditional equipment that's necessarily available.
Yeah, piggybacking on
Chance try out the ring fit at all, or are you familiar with that at all?
I am familiar with it. We do have a switch. I have not used it. I haven't played it. I know a couple people who have played it, and they say it's super great. I was one of the people who played with the Wii Fit when that came with the balance board, which was like exceedingly okay. That's like the hardest. That's like a heavy C+ that I can give that machine. But the Ring Fit sounds like it's actually something that's very useful. I have a client who she and her son use it to work out a lot, and she says it's the thing that motivates him the most to get up and move, because you can get an adventure in and you get points and you level up. And apparently the bad guys are all kettlebells, which I feel personally attacked for. But whatever gets you moving, right?
Yeah, we've been using that at home. It's one of the things that I've been able to motivate my daughter with, just because it's a video game, but you're also moving around. It's very much body movement based, just on body weight. So, well, the ring does have some resistance, so there's some pulling of that, there's some pushing of that to add a little bit in. Since she is young, I have been trying to at least keep an eye on her while she's doing it to make sure that she's doing the exercises correctly. I mean, 8, you're young enough so that if you do something slightly off, your body will probably forgive you, but it's not a great habit to get into, because then you discover you're doing things wrong. You're much older and it's much less forgiving of your body.
And if too, like what Rob was saying, if you're looking for something like to do more body weight type workouts and you don't have access to kettlebells, an easy way to kind of like make your own kettlebell is actually just use a milk container, because then you can kind of, I believe it's like 8 pounds if you have a full gallon container filled with water. Please don't quote me on that. I teach reading, not math. But you can also like adjust how heavy it is, depending on, like, oh, I'm just really going to work, the biceps today, or do arms and, kettlebell, or, more or less kettlebell swings with a gallon jug, or you can use it as something like lighter. Also, if you're doing yoga and you're finding stuff doesn't feel good in your body, moving things to a chair, planking up against a wall, doing push-ups up against the wall, using pillows as bolsters, like couch cushions, a chair as a block, something just sort of sturdy. On Instagram, there are so many options for like at home, like yoga props. Like even if you just search DIY yoga props, there's so many. Like you can, like using the wall is one of my favorite things to do for just any sort of yoga pose or extra core work, things like that.
The other thing I love too is soup cans. Silly stuff. But soup cans, black beans, lentils, what else comes in a can? Vegetables. That's all I've got. But even just doing like a bicep work, tricep work, yeah, it always boggles my mind when I have a can in each hand, and after like 30 seconds my arms are shaking and I'm like, wow, that's only a can. That makes a difference. Otherwise I use textbooks, which as a college student, that I have textbooks everywhere that I've paid so much money for that I just don't really need, but don't want to get rid of them because I've spent hundreds of dollars on them. Perfect, right? Britt mentioned like a yoga brick. I mean, hey, textbook, probably not that comfortable, but gotta do what you gotta do.
Awesome version for a block. Amazing.
I've got my
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Essentials of Strength and Conditioning. This thing, like, it's pretty, yeah, it's pretty heavy. I mean, after a while, it's a good shoulder press. Dictionary, really challenge yourself. I don't have a dictionary, but if you do,
That's all
ideal.
up here.
You
I
put
did
those
actually,
things
mentioning a
really close.
dictionary. I did see someone post on Instagram today. She was doing wall sits and she was holding in her hands all the RPG system books that she has for like D&D 5th edition and 4th edition, like Pathfinder, and she was pressing them overhead. And the caption was like, God, just give me like a 1-page rule set or something like that. There's just too many rules for some of these games. And you mentioned cans
That
earlier,
is
Mariah.
super creative.
I have a coworker, another coach, and she streams classes. And her recommendation is to use wine bottles so that if your workout starts to feel very, very heavy or need some hydration, pop those bad boys open. They get lighter as it goes, and everything feels easier after a couple of reps. Or 12-ounce curls as well. Get those beer cans in there. But I did actually want to wheel back on something that Diane brought up, talking about working out with your daughter and how being 8, you can bounce back from almost anything that happens to you physically, injury-wise. And then Britt touched on it as well. Like, I feel like injury is something that we think of as happening when you play sport or if you're weightlifting in the gym or something like that, but it can definitely happen at home. And as someone who's used to coaching people through exercise and movements, one of the things that I would probably advise people who are picking up home fitness for the first time or who are very new at it to be aware of is injury, not pushing your limits, making sure you're getting a good warm up, making sure you're getting a good cool down. And yoga is a great way to do that. If you have a foam roller, if you know what that is, if you have that around your house, definitely use that. You got nothing but time now, so why not be using it? But it's easy, I think, to, especially when you first start out, it's really easy to get like super duper gung ho and want to like hit it hard every single day and do like 100 burpees every single day. I have this workout that is based, it's not based on, it is the workout from One Punch Man, where you just do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and then do a bunch of cardio for 100
Ew.
calories in one day. Do your best every day.
Yeah.
No one's hair
Vetoes
has fallen out
that.
yet. I cut this in. My hair didn't fall out. I cut it this way. But like that's something that I have people do like once a week tops, maybe, and that's for my more like experienced people. But it's easy to look for something like if you go on Instagram and just say, I don't know, home workout, fat loss, strength challenge, stuff's going to pop up that you might not necessarily be ready for. And if you're someone who's used to doing only like a dancing video game, doing like plyometric Bulgarian split squats, okay, I'll just jump right into that. Like, that's not a great idea. Like, you don't want to start there. That's like level 5 stuff. You should be doing level 1 stuff and working your way back up, which I think is something that a game like the Ring Fit Adventure would be great at, because I have to assume it starts you off at more basic movements and then sort of progresses things into more complex, more intense, more conditioning and strength as time goes on.
Another thing with the foam roller, just because I personally do not have a foam roller, one thing you could, I have 2 suggestions. Number 1, you could roll your yoga mat up to be super, super rolled tight and use that kind of as a roller. Or I've used like a tennis ball or a baseball, and if you put that between like your shoulder and the wall, you can use that as well to create the same effect. Just because I personally don't have a foam roller, I need one, don't have one. So
PVC pipes work fantastic. As well as I've played with like a rolling pin on like shins and like quads. It works great, but it was intense. It was definitely a very intense sensation, is what I'm going to call that.
I like that description a lot.
Yeah, an intense sensation.
It's very,
that just
very
sounds
descriptive.
horrendous. All right. So then, so to recap, just a couple of really good equipment pieces that were suggested were, well, textbooks, the roller, bands, body weight stuff. Because Rob, you have a workout video to show us, right?
I do. Do I have to link it, or is it already linked up?
I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll
The
find out because
magic.
I don't have. I don't know.
Yeah, Rob did submit.
Oh.
Rob did submit a workout video
I
for us.
submitted. Okay, good. So you guys get to see some.
I believe so.
Some squats in action here.
What? Because and I have done Rob's workouts before twice. Yeah, it was definitely tough. It was fun. Recommend it for sure, but I was sore.
An intense sensation, would you say?
Like delayed by like 24, 48 hours.
Yeah. It's like, there it is.
Delayed sensation.
Dope.
Cool.
Time release intensity.
Yeah. There we go.
Twin Cities Geeks. This is
Look at this
Coach
nerd.
Rob with D20 Athletics and my assistant coach Terrence coming at you from the Brojo. Everyone's pretty much stuck at home right now, and if you're worried about your health and fitness, I've got a couple of recommendations for you. I have 2 movements that we're going to go over today. The first one is going to be the burpee. This is going to be a great strength and conditioning option for your whole body, which you need 0 equipment for. And the second piece is going to be a hip bridge, which you don't necessarily need equipment for, but it's going to be a very helpful, very important piece of strengthening for your posterior chain as we're going through a lot of sitting around time right now. So for the burpee, I'll go through the classic version first and give you a few modifications. And then for the bridge, we'll go over the classic version of that one first, and I'll give you some spicy mods for that one. So, burpee, full body. I'm going to start from a standing position. I'm going to squat down, clap my hands on the floor, jump the feet backwards, hit a push-up, jump the feet back in, and give a little hop at the top. That's my regular version. A lot of different modifications for this one. For first, I can put my hands on the floor, step the feet back, hit that push-up, or for my push-up, I can always bring that back down to the knees as well if I need a little modification for that one. Boom. And then bring your feet back up however you need to. And then squat up, jump, always optional. I encourage it though. The big thing on this one that you want to be careful of is your back position here. A lot of times people, even experienced athletes, when they get fatigued, will wind up curling down here with this kind of really bad caveman spine here. What we want to do is squat. Hit that one, shoot the legs back, do your push-up, whatever you're going to do. You can even ditch the push-up if you don't want it. Bring it back here, and then this is where it happens. Like that. Don't want that. Shift your hips down, torso up, squat into that hop or into that full-on stand. Whatever you want to do. How many burpees do you do? I don't know. Enough. How many burpees is enough? I don't know. Until you don't want to do anymore. And that's probably 5 short enough. The bridge.
You always have more burpees than
posterior
you.
chain. What does that mean? The posterior chain is a lot of muscles that kind of have everything in your posterior here. We're focusing a lot on glutes and hamstrings with this particular movement. Something that gets pretty angry and tight when you spend a lot more time sitting on the couch, binging Netflix, eating chips, and playing Animal Crossing. But what I'm going to do
play a lot of Animal Crossing. It's
is
twice now.
lying down flat position on the floor. Now, don't be deceived. This is not the whole movement. I'm going to keep my
Animal
feet
Crossing is
on the
basically
floor.
outside
My
of the
knees will be bent.
RPG right now.
It really is.
My arms can kind of do whatever I want them to do, but for this one, I'm going to bend first and then press down as I push my feet through the floor and extend my hips up in the sky here. Now, what I want to be doing is squeezing my booty muscles, as I come up. If you start to feel your quads fire up here, the top of your legs, or these guys, your hip flexors, are very tight and angry, or you feel like the work's happening on the top of your legs, not on the posterior, what I'll have you do is grab a surface like a bench. If you don't have a bench, that's okay. You can use a stack of books, you can use a chair, you can use a couch, whatever you have around, and put your feet up on top of that surface, okay? With the higher surface here, same deal.
This is slightly spicy. This is
there
like
we
the
go.
mild version.
That's going to force, the higher up my feet are, it's going to force my posterior chain to do the work a little bit more. And now this one we have a couple of different options. I can rep it out here, do like 10 or 15 at a time. You can see I'm taking a little bit of a pause at the top here to really squeeze, really get that mind-muscle connection. I'm thinking about squeezing.
And Britt, if you have comments on my
gluteus
bridge,
maximus
I would
muscles
actually
here.
love to hear it because I know it's
Or
not
you can
necessarily
come
like a
up,
super
squeeze,
tight
hold
yoga
more
movement
of a yoga position
that I'm doing in
here.
this video.
Again, hands are doing whatever.
Well, it's interesting.
This top
In
position for a
yoga, it's
while.
usually like
What I like
we
to
tell you
emphasize
not
is
to
actually
squeeze your
was
glutes. It's like
your
because
stomach.
it
Ah,
should be strengthening your low back in yoga. So it's like a low
sure.
back exercise rather, which is interesting.
Recovery
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, bringing the feet
I
up for me
really,
is something that I was always taught to engage the glutes more.
just to
yeah.
break up
No,
the
I think that's interesting because I think it does something similar. I think it just depends on where in your body it's working,
Hmm.
which is really
And
interesting.
that's interesting too, because some of the workout videos that are every single time that bridge, like that glute bridge
Hmm.
exercise is done, I swear everyone says squeeze the butt. Like every
Yeah.
single workout video says, yeah, squeeze the butt when doing a glute bridge. So I think that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, I think
It
the
might,
intent of the kind of workout that you're doing kind of changes what you focus on, but your brain connection to that muscle group.
yeah, and I think it too depends where in yoga it's usually used as like a spine sort of strengthener as opposed to like a
Mhm.
glute sort of strengthening one, which I think really just changes, the muscles that you engage to do it.
Sure.
I really like that you lifted your feet though to do the bridge.
Mm.
Like that's like nice because then you can even do that with your textbooks again and give yourself varying levels of challenge, which is awesome.
Hmm. Yeah. Is there a
Yes.
I'm sorry, Brett, is there a in doing the yoga bridge, because I'm like stuck on this as a posture thing. Is there like a certain cue that you would give your people for finding the right position? Or you mentioned, because we're talking obviously about using different muscle groups, like what would be the intent of that movement and what kind of cues would you give someone setting up for it?
Yeah, I would usually use a bridge like towards the end. So once we've made our way down to the floor, just because when I teach yoga, I try to make it super accessible to all body types, and especially if getting down onto the floor from standing or in a chair is difficult, I don't
Mhm.
want you to have to get down onto the floor multiple times, um, or more than is comfortable. So I would have us probably start like sitting and then laying down on our back, and then bending your knees, putting your feet in front of you. I like to have mine so I can kind of like touch my ankles, but that's just a personal preference. It doesn't really change your bridge depending on how far or close to your booty they are. So mine are usually pretty up close. And then engaging your core and then sending your hips forward. So it's kind of pulling on your abs, but then trying to like keep your glutes relaxed. So it's really strengthening like the front of the hips, the low back, but like avoiding just like clenching up. Um, so.
Yeah, that is
And the other
interesting how
thing
it's
I
like the
want
same
to
mechanical movement,
go
but
ahead.
we focus on, sorry, how it's the same mechanical
No, you're
movement, we
good.
just focus on the complete opposite sides of the body.
Yeah, and then
No,
if
and I
you
was,
really,
oh yeah.
oh, sorry.
No, good. No, go ahead. I'll go after.
Okay, sorry. And if too, I really like that you did the like sort of the chest expansion too. I really enjoy doing that where you send your arms underneath you without touching your body because that also brings it
Mm.
from just like low back hips to also like opening up your chest, stretching into your pectorals just a little bit. And it,
Yeah,
it gives you, especially if you feel like you're not that strong, it helps give you like a base of support underneath you as you
mhm,
lift your hips up, which is really nice.
definitely. And that's actually something that I do later on in that same video, holding the bridge up high and then like putting your arms underneath and like lacing the fingers to get the lockout for
Mm-hmm.
a big chest opener too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at
No,
that.
I was
Similarity.
even no, what I was even going to say with the video that Rob did. So thank you for submitting that, by the way.
Oh, for sure.
One thing with like push-ups too, and I think another discussion point with this as well is what kind of exercises should we discuss for any of us geeks who have low back pain, knee, not the best knees. I know I deal with that personally. Like for push-ups, for example, you can do push-ups against a wall. So if getting down on the ground is difficult, but I think even if we talk just briefly about some exercises for anyone who may not be able to do a full push-up or a full
Mm.
squat or just like a good exercises to do if yeah, if you are experiencing any of those discomforts, like, yeah, low back pain, maybe trouble getting down to the floor, anything like that.
Sure. So I think just to jump in on that, I think that the assumption I'll say is that if you're going to start working out, the easiest thing you can do is body weight exercise like squats and push-ups and stuff like that. But if you find that you can't do the push-up or a body weight squat without pain in your back or your knees especially, finding a weighted implement uh, much more easy. You can modify a lot easier. So doing something like step ups or step downs off of your bottom stair to work your legs one at a time. You can control the alignment a lot better. Doing something for your upper body with weights like an overhead press or leaning against the wall for the push up, making sure all your alignment, of course, is always in line. Also very, very important. Britt, do you have anything for that? I had a total brain fart on what I was about to say. Right.
Yeah. I would say doing postures against the wall is great, like wall push-ups, wall planks. But thinking specifically about back, and I'm thinking like low back, I would avoid any sort of like back bend, sort of like really deep chest expansions. Like it's not going to help you. It's just going to hurt. You're probably going to injure yourself more because you're like, oh, I can push through this. Please don't push through it. Please listen to your body.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say like ways to like kind of help. Like I know I'm not used to sitting as often as I have been since distance learning has started. I would say like forward folds are like the best thing ever. Like if you have a tight back, and even if your legs are tight, like having like a bend in your knees and just kind of leaning forward and just trying to release into that is really, really going to help that. And sitting in a chair, I would say even for like yoga, if you were to follow along with like a typical like a Vinyasa video on YouTube, like any generic Vinyasa video on YouTube, if you do the exact same postures while sitting in a chair, that'll save your knees. I just like to scoot forward towards like the edge of the chair. And some of the postures I've done, which I find typically pretty easy for myself, like standing, as I'm sitting in the chair, I'm like, holy crap, this is really difficult. Or it's difficult in a different way. Like maybe I feel it more on my core. So finding ways that feel good, but also feel like you're working. And it's going to look different for everybody because there's like, and literally like bodies are put together differently. Like I know my shoulders, I have really weird shoulder flexibility. So when I teach a class, I have to like put that ahead. Like yours probably isn't going to look like mine because my shoulder blades are really flat. So they slide up and down my back. Like, yeah.
And now you mentioned too, specifically Vinyasa style yoga. I know there's a bunch of different kinds and I'm like vaguely familiar, but if I wanted to do a yoga workout, say search it up on YouTube, that was a workout versus one that was like based for like stretching and recovery, like what sort of things should I be looking for?
Yeah, I would say look for a Vinyasa style. Vinyasa is going to be like the main component is like every movement has a breath. So that's going to be a lot more sun salutations, a lot more like up, down, downward dogs, chaturangas, which are like high plank to low plank to ground. It's going to be a lot more things like that, and a lot more of them. You'll probably break a sweat during that. If you're looking for something a little more like chill, Hatha style yoga is one of my favorites. It's not less of a workout. It's more you spend a little longer in the pose rather than going through it very quick by each breath. So you can like really kind of feel like it's more of a sustained hold. So it holds your muscles in place longer. So like, you know, a chair pose in a Vinyasa style class is gonna be a lot shorter than like a chair pose in a Hatha where you're like, oh God, I've been sitting in a, you know, air squat for, 30 seconds. I'm done now.
Right. Yeah.
And two, if you were to type in like, even if you were just like looking on YouTube, there's a couple like Yoga with Adrienne is one YouTube channel that has
hers.
a lot of, she's really quite like body positive. It's usually not like nothing to do with like fat burning, calorie. It's just kind of like move with how you feel, which is great. And she's really like, she's very specific in each video to tell you like what sort of workout or what type of yoga it is. Like, oh, this is, a relaxing yoga for stress, or this is yoga to work your core, which is really specific and is really helpful for someone who's like, I'm stuck, I'm in my house, I'm stressed, I just want to move my body. So it's less like a surprise, and it's more of, what you're getting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I linked a video with Yoga with Adrian, or at least your channel, I think.
Yeah, please. Yeah, 'cause I forgot.
Because I love her too.
Yeah,
Let's check
she's
it out.
great.
Hello everyone, welcome to Yoga with Adrian.
Yes.
I'm Adrian and this is Benji, and today we have a beautiful
Aw.
practice for vulnerability.
I love Benji.
So if you have
He's
a
so
towel or a
cute.
blanket and you want to bring it to
Cutest
practice,
dog.
please do. If not, no
Cutest
worries.
dog.
Yes.
Hop into something comfy and let's get started. Okay, welcome. So if you brought a towel or a blanket to the practice today, you can go ahead and lay it out on your mat, perhaps for this first bit, because we are going to begin today's session in fetal position. So take your time coming down to the ground, and you can choose which side, left side or right side, and you're just going to come to lay on your blanket or on the mat. And whatever arm is down, you're going to use that one, bottom arm, as a pillow. And if you can, right, every body is different. So honor your body and the shape of your body here right away. But to the best of your ability, think about creating a little curvature in the low back by bringing the knees up. So they don't have to come super tight, right? We can kind of honor a little bit of space for the belly. Let's actually do that, all of us. Embrace that gesture, that loving gesture. But best you can, bring the knees up just enough so you feel a little bit of length in the low back. All right. And then just take a second to get settled in here. You can allow your top arm to rest wherever feels good, either gently on the ground, maybe on the hip, the thigh, the booty. And here we are. Man, we're doing it. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, my darling friend,
One of the things too with Yoga with Adrian specifically, what Britt said, she's pretty clear in the beginning of her videos what this video is going to be. So I don't know if I've done that video, but there was one video that was probably 10 minutes, and I probably just laid on my mat the whole time. But after a really long workday, like, that was ideal. I didn't want to do this epic squat weights,
Right.
blah blah blah. So that video worked. And then she does like series too. So there are a couple of videos that it, like, based on profession. There's a yoga video. So I know there was one that was, it was like yoga for teachers, and then it was yoga for, I don't even remember, yoga for like nurses who stand all day, and there's just so much that, I mean, I did it. I'm not a teacher, but it was just, it's. And then there is she does like more, if you're looking for like yoga as a workout, like she has a couple abdominal ones that are killer. If that's your style, right? So
Yeah.
Yoga with Adrian is one of my favorite channels, hands down.
Very cool.
I really appreciate that Yoga with Adrian is free. I would say my only like criticism of Yoga with Adrian is that she is very like that very typical, like what you expect a yoga teacher to look like, which is hard.
Sure.
Like, she does a really great job of like, reminding everyone that everybody is different, but it is hard sometimes. You're like, oh man, now where's my belly supposed to go? Which is like a little tough. So, and it's hard because there's not as many, like Yoga with Adriene she has a very large following. And there's not as many like options quite like Yoga with Adriene. She has a really nice variety. So, yeah.
I thought it was very interesting that the clip, I don't know whose clip that was, if that was yours, Britt, that you chose, or if it was Mariah's, but I guess I think it was interesting, and I appreciate that you chose a yoga for vulnerability. And that you mentioned too, like doing the class where you just lay down on your mat for 10 minutes, but after a long day, you don't want to do this epic session. I'll even say that not every workout has to be 100 burpees in 10 minutes or you die. Like I think sometimes, a lot of times, fitness gets tied up in like your sense of self, I guess, like your identity, like we attach a lot of morality to it. I see this a lot in people who struggle with eating, like tying morality to food, tying morality to like self-morality, like what is my worth as a person if I don't do this many squats, if I don't bench press as much as the next guy, or if I eat such and such a thing today when I should have been eating a different such and such a thing today. And I think that's something that, with everyone being locked down at home, has probably a potential to like grow in weird ways. To, like, I don't want to say spiral necessarily, but I think that's a definite possibility for some people.
I like right now is a time that if you are a person who struggles with like an eating disorder or even disordered eating, like now is a time that like a lot of people are seeing spikes in that because you're at home, and so you actually have that time, that mental space slightly to be like, oh, I'm at home. I know I don't have to actually leave work to get a snack because I'm hungry right now. But then they're, depending on your relationship with food, whether it's, and that can even depend on the day. And if you're feeling, you have a, maybe even if you're like, oh, I don't feel like my job is that high stress, but I don't have the spoons right now to work out. Like being able to acknowledge like, oh, hey, I'm not in a space right now that I can do a full workout. That's okay. Like being able to recognize that is important, and not placing guilt or blame on that is really, really important. Like maybe just if you feel like you have the ability to go outside during your lunch break that time, take a walk around your block. You know what? You moved your body. You did something that took care of yourself. You don't need to, do a really hardcore workout every day, because like right now, like we're all in a collective trauma. So it's our brains are in, fight or flight and in survival mode. So it's hard to, like, now is a hard time to say, oh, I'm going to do a workout routine every single day. Like you just have to do your best, and your best is different every day. We're all in this weird situation.
I actually, right before I came down here to pop on the stream, I was reading an Onion article on my phone, and the headline was like, man surprised that biggest trauma in life is not the bump he needs to be more creative. And like the article is about this guy saying like, hey, I didn't think that like being furloughed from my job and having the global economy crash and being stuck at home with this incredibly emotional stress, I thought that was going to be the thing that pushed me to writing my novel and like picking up the guitar again. But it's weird that it's not happening that way. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. Like early on, I feel like there's this big push of like, we're gonna do it. We have all the time in the world. Let's like put up the walls, let's paint the rooms and do all the workouts. And now people are just kind of like, man, this sucks. Like I'm feeling it. Like even myself earlier this week, like, dude, I was feeling it. Like I'm able to stay pretty busy, and like I said, I'm a very productive minded person. I need goals. Like I've been very fortunate, I should say, to be in a very healthy mental state for the majority of the quarantine. But like this past week, man, because the baby she was sick at the beginning of the week, and her sleep was all over the place. And my sleep's all over the place. She just scream all the time because she's one. I don't know what she wants because she can't talk. So I'm just like very frustrated. I'm like feeling it now. Have I made it clear that I'm feeling it yet?
We've been talking about in like staff meetings, like it's like everybody has kind of hit a wall like this last like week and a half. Like people who are like, I could work at home all the time. This is great. And all of a sudden everyone is like, no, like the kids are feeling it. Like adults are feeling it. Like it's kind of hit that point where we're all like, oh God, this is like, we're all just in our houses with our families. And it is a lot of time in our houses with our families in our houses.
You know what they say about distance, right? It makes the heart grow fonder, and familiarity breeds family bonding, right? So Ray, you're at home with your kid now, right? She's off from school. Are you guys hitting that wall too?
We yes, to a point. We're kind of in a weird position where my husband, who her father is a healthcare worker who has, but one of the ones who has a very reduced schedule right now.
Mm,
So ways unpredictability has been a part of our life for as long as he has done that, and still having things being unpredictable but on a more a smaller scale is kind of a welcome relief. So
sure.
weirdly enough, having things be different randomly on a Wednesday or a Monday is helping give a sense of normality, as weird as
Sure, yeah.
that sounds. But I mean, I can tell that the veneer is kind of wearing off of the experience, where
Mm,
it's less, yay, I can wear pajamas a good portion of the day, has been replaced with, oh, okay, I miss my friends at school a lot. And like we did a quick drive-by party for
mm,
one of her classmates last night, and even though it was maybe at most a 20-second interaction, as she showed him a sign and then handed it to him through a car window, I mean, just the light on their faces getting to see the
mhm,
interaction there has, I think, maybe brought a sense of like fresh air coming into the submarine or
mm.
something like that.
Yeah,
Just a
no, I get
reminder
it,
that
yeah.
there's something else. Uh, I mean, at this point, we've been trying to keep a sense of normality with some things. Um, she is, as much as she loves playing Animal Crossing for hours on end, or playing Pokemon for hours on end. She is a fairly active kid, and
Mhm,
trying to keep her activities up that she's been working at all year have been kind of tough.
mm,
Fortunately, some of the places that she's done things with have started to release like quick patch workouts. She does classes at Circus Juventus, which she absolutely loves.
oh, cool.
And they released a couple of different workouts for the various uh, disciplines, I guess, that would
Mhm,
be doable at home. There's so I've kind of encouraged her, even though we don't have a trampoline and something for you to vault over, let alone the myriad of mats that would even be needed to keep that safe. Um,
right.
you can do some flexibility, and that'll help with other things too.
Yeah.
Um, I know there's so many other a lot of places I've noticed that do kids activities have released um, quick uploads, or not even quick. In some cases, they're like hour long
Oh,
sessions that would let her or let any kid at home really try and keep up with skills that they've learned in the past, or if you're enterprising, I guess, try and learn new ones.
mhm,
She used to do gymnastics at mini hops, and they've been doing different skill videos that they've put out in like trampoline and tumbling, or there's one that does the basics of a handstand that she's
cool.
also been working on. And now they're starting to do um, some Zoom classes starting next week, and she's going to be trying, hopefully because she wants to, not because mom didn't badger, but
Sure.
mentioned, hey, this is an option, like a couple of times, just to kind of get her used to the idea and think about, do I really want to do this or not? So we'll see how that goes. I will say that there are lots of places in the Twin Cities, if you want to look at something local, that have similar setups. A lot of gymnastics places, for example, like Twin Cities Twisters, Minneapolis Gymnastics, Kennewood Gymnastics, have started or made their video options more robust, just for anyone following along at home.
Would you be able to find those
I
on like
know,
YouTube or their websites?
yes. I believe
Cool.
that most of them, if not all of them, are hosted on
Sure.
YouTube, but usually their websites will have a little portal so you can at least get to different areas of the video. I know that dance classes, there's a lot of studios are moving towards streaming. And hopefully, if she can't do circus in person soon, they'll be able to figure out a way to do some streaming classes at home, because
Right.
I know she misses it.
So you guys are building the trapeze right now, or?
The downside about researching ideas for your kid to do at home is that suddenly your Facebook ads get filled with, like, it is just all tumble track, like a yoga hammock.
Cool.
Just, I'm like, no, we probably shouldn't.
Right.
I'm really hoping that all the kids come back to school like super great dancers, because they spent the last 2 months doing Just Dance on YouTube, like just finding like dance songs on YouTube and just doing the Just Dance along with it. Like that's what I'm hoping, is I'm like, I just want them all to like break out into dance at some point, like flash mob style.
For TikTok is the thing. Everyone's doing the hand. They're like voguing into the cell phone now, right?
Yes, it's all about the TikTok.
I think I'm officially old now because I have zero. Like, it's not on my radar.
It's kind of like Vine, I think.
Right?
That's what it's the successor to Vine, pretty much, but with longer format videos and a different way to have them fed to you.
Millennial thing. I'm like, man, so it's just Vine.
Yeah, right.
You young millennials. Us elder millennials didn't have Vine. Well, I mean, we did.
I remember writing code into my MySpace. Change the background.
Yes.
No, MySpace is newfangled. It was all LiveJournal, man.
Oh man, that was
LiveJournal
just
and Yahoo GeoPages and GeoPages.
I had a Zanga in high school.
I'm old. I will mention though that a lot of the places that are offering up the free like YouTube content and stuff also are nonprofits. So if they are running any sort of fundraiser that you see and you have the means to donate, it's nice to make sure that those places can actually be there when kids are able to start thinking about doing in-person stuff again.
Yeah.
Or at least so that they can keep their staff.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I knew none of those existed. So that's because are they free? Like, is it free content, or do you already have to be I don't want to say a member, but like would these be for like anyone to do, or do you pay before? Like, how does that work?
It depends on what it is. A lot of them have anything that's up on YouTube is generally available to you for no charge. Um, Zoom classes, there's a fee for it. I haven't had a chance to try out this whatever individual platform every single place is offering because we haven't gotten quite that bored. But at least with the experience I can say with registering for the mini hops class is that it's at the moment they are doing it week to week. Some dance places, I believe they're continuing classes that are already there, or they may be registering for something longer. The Zoom class, I think was like $10 for the class, which is yeah.
Right.
It's,
I
it's
mean, it
hard to
is what
say
it
because
is,
we
you
haven't
know?
done it yet. So
Sure, that too. And my wife does Zumba on Zoom. It's Zumba. She just
aha.
puts the floor down back here, and every Saturday morning I hear her pounding around back there.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's always also the general traditional free to you activities. Well, assuming you have the equipment like biking and scootering and walking. And I found actually that trying to focus on getting her out of the house and doing something since she's young enough to need supervision in most places requires that I myself am getting out of the house and moving with her. So
Sure.
it's extra motivation, which is nice.
Because I'd imagine for an 8-year-old, it's not like, okay, we got to work out now. It's like we have this activity we're going to go do, right?
Yeah, well, it's more of a, hey, you've been playing for a long time. Have you done any physical activity today? Have you done this? Have you done this? Or just randomly about 3 o'clock or so, I say, I was thinking about going for a walk. You want to come with me? Or you could take your scooter. I was thinking about going for a bike ride.
Do you, just out of curiosity? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you ever? No, I was just curious. Like, does your school that your kiddos at? Do you do like gym class? Like, do they offer like distance learning for gym or like recess, like ideas?
The school system that we are in, for at least her grade, they have the specialist activities like PE, art, etc. As optional. They can go to their individual things. Our district uses Seesaw in Seesaw to get information from there. At least from my perspective, since from my understanding, at least they're considered optional, is that as long as she is doing something that falls under those categories, then I'm not going to stress whether it's the exact school activity or if it's something else.
No, that's super legit. I was just curious. Our school gym, or our school, so like for like gym, like they like created a like mini like workout. So like we have gym and Hmong are like our two specials, and so it's like for gym, do 25 jumping jacks, 10 push-ups. Like so, there's like a little like circuit for them, and then it like some days it's like take a walk with your family or do 3 dance along videos, like just sort of like breaking it down into like. Yeah. So I was just curious because I've seen no one. So, like, how are other schools doing this? Is everyone okay?
Right. Yeah.
I say the school's goal is to try and have their independent learning be as independent as possible. And since my kid is a very independent soul, I've tried to restrict it just mainly to making sure that you've actually hit everything in that list, right? Instead of not going towards the exact activities for the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Legit.
Legit. Yeah.
Yeah, you learn where to give, you learn where to hold firm.
Yeah.
Distance learning is all about flexibility.
Yeah.
All about flexibility.
Good thing you do so much yoga.
Right? Flexibility.
I will say from experience that if it seems like it's a day that is particularly difficult, it's probably not the day for pushing any sort of skill that they are still mastering or not 100% comfortable from, which we learned the hard way on a 2-mile bike ride that sort of fell apart at mile like 1.5. So
oops.
Yeah. there's no real place to go but home from that point.
So in that sense, great motivation to keep going.
Yes. Yes. You just have to maybe kids are learning to express their feelings of frustration, and it's a time where they're maybe not expressing them at the exact stressor, and if you are the closest thing, then it can be tricky for everyone.
And I think that definitely rings true for adults too. Like, it's crazy stressful. Like, no one knows what's going on. Our whole lives are question marks. And for me, normally my big stress release valve is working out. I used to be able to go to jiu-jitsu or kickboxing classes. I love martial arts, but I haven't been able to do that since we had a kid. So like that valve got kind of taken away. I had to shift things over to just weightlifting in my basement, which is still fine. But I can tell there's a difference when if I have to go a day or two and I'm not able to do my routine like release thing, how I feel just like super tightly wound. And normally I'm able to let things go, but like right now, like everything just hits a little bit harder. You know, everything stings just a little bit more. And like keeping track of that and having I think that's something that physical fitness and exercise is extremely valuable for, especially right now, is as a way to burn it off, like just sweat it out, man. You know, and that's beyond like the physical changes you'll see. Like I was saying, that Onion article, like this might not be the best time to try and change your life, but it's definitely a great time to start doing things that will improve it overall. You know, to start building a habit. I'm not going to create a sculpture, but if I want to start, I don't know, drawing, I can do that. It's like small things. So like, and I think that speaks a lot too about, if I'm talking way too much, just let me know. I think that curtails really well into something I was thinking about earlier today. I lead a kettlebell class for technique on Fridays, and I talked a lot to my athletes then about intent in a workout. Because the class that we were doing was a training session, not a workout. And the difference that I made there was that a workout will make you tired and a training session will make you better. And they don't always have to be separate. Like there's a lot of overlap between those two, but they don't necessarily are the same thing. Like I can come, like some days I just need a workout. I just need to sweat. I just need to move. Like I have ADHD, so I just need to be here doing stuff, getting it out, burning it off. And then there are some days where I need a training session where I can feel proficient at something, where I feel like I'm getting better. And Ray, like you said, if I'm having a day where I'm already stressed out, if I'm like burning the candle at both ends and I'm here, like I don't want to spend that time working on my handstand and get to there. Right?
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to feel good at something. So if instead of working out, let's say I'm drawing or playing piano. You know, if I can just sit down and play scales for 5 minutes, that's going to be much more valuable on a day where I'm just like end of my rope than sitting down and trying to force myself to play something I've never played, never touched before in my life because it's on the schedule. So like you said, flexibility, I think, is going to be crazy important And
Yeah.
this is something I was talking about earlier with my wife, adjusting expectations about what you're able to with the baby as I'm stressed out about the kid. Yeah. Adjusting
I could say
expectations for
that is
yes,
like the
please
number
say
one
something.
parenting lesson is adjust expectations, and then adjust them some more.
I'm learning that.
I feel like that can really just be applied to this whole quarantine is adjust expectations of, you know, what you think your workout's going to look like and maybe what your workout really is. Maybe it's just a walk around the block and some mild stretching because you dropped the TV remote under the couch. And you know what? Now you're just reaching. It's a good shoulder stretch. You know, adjusting those expectations and being okay to be flexible and forgive yourself and, you know, adjust those expectations and maybe not, you know, expectations have to be flexible right now too. Is how do we best take care of as well as mentally?
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say someone commented in this video that apparently there is Magical Yoga is doing a donation-based Harry Potter yoga series on Facebook Live. Apparently it's every Friday at 6 through May 22nd. And there's nothing that appeals to my Hufflepuff heart than anything Harry Potter related. So I'm for sure going to take that as suggestion. I just had to shout it out. Anything Harry Potter, I'm there. So yeah, apparently Magical Yoga.
If you haven't taken a class of like magical yogas, like Harry Potter yoga, you are in for a treat. It's delightful. It's amazing. It's super accessible. Like I've taken like several of like Rose's classes, like so good. Like I'm so excited for you.
I can't really see it, but I have
it's lovely for beginners and it's oh no, Mariah, I lost you. I couldn't hear what you said.
Oh, I was just gonna say my Harry Potter collection is like right there. Yeah, right over there. Anyway, that's all. It was nothing really that important. But anyway, Harry Potter yoga. I've never done it. I'm so excited now that someone here has and said it's awesome.
So good. Great for beginners, great for all ability levels, great for anyone who has like an injury or is like in recovery for an injury or has accessibility issues. If you know you're worried, oh, I can't do yoga, everybody can do it. It's fun. You'll love it.
Oh my gosh. I'm super excited. I just like knew I was like I saw it pop up on here and I'm like I have to talk about this. But I never heard of magical yoga before until 30 seconds.
Amazing. So good.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, and it's every Friday at 6.
Cool.
Is it free? Oh, it's donation-based. Never mind. Okay.
Cool.
I can do that, so. Sweet. All right. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that we would like to hit on now? I know we've talked about a lot of really, really broad and really detailed health-based conversations thus far, but is there anything that we haven't touched on yet?
I know something I really wanted to touch on was the mental health aspect of it, but I think we kind of like just ran through. I feel really good about that. The physical aspect of it, of working out at home, doing things with equipment or without, adaptive stuff, obviously, working with the family. I don't know, was there like stream questions? Is that a thing we do?
Yeah.
I think the only other thing that we may want to revisit is there was someone who said it was really useful when we talked about alternatives to fancy workout gear. So, you know, obviously we mentioned soup cans, textbooks, a lot of different items. If we have any like last minute, like I think Britt's got something.
I got some.
Okay, good.
Sorry, I got excited.
I love it.
No, I love it. It was a whole body excitement. So one thing too, a lot of times if you're doing like a yoga video or even just some like stretching, and it says something about a strap and you don't have a strap, you're like, great, now I have to go buy a strap. Just use a towel or like a blanket, something, maybe not something super fluffy, but just like a regular towel. And it just more or less brings your toes closer to you. And remembering that if you like nothing magical happens when you touch your toes, you get the same stretch whether or not you're touching your toes.
I don't
But
unlock
no,
the special power.
towels. Yeah, no, nothing. It's really actually disappointing. Like I didn't get, X-ray vision or anything. It's just my Hogwarts letter didn't show up. It just was like, oh, well, this just happened. It's really kind of anticlimactic. But no, towels are great. Using a chair or a wall, even if you're if you're trying out a balancing pose for the first time, or trying out, maybe you're working on pistols, which are like the one-legged squats with one going out in front of you, using a wall to help you. Like walls, they're great. They're like the best prop ever because they're just there. Trying to think of any other ones. I got so excited about the towel, I forgot the other ones I was thinking of.
And that was mentioned in Yoga with Adrienne too. She mentioned a towel as well.
Oh yeah.
Poopy fruit
Awesome.
and know
You
where
can
your
probably-
towel is.
I was just about to say that. Yes, I was gonna say you can roll it up as long as you know you're a real fruit who knows where your towel is at. As far as other impromptu stuff, like I said, heavy objects, backpacks full of stuff, textbooks are very, very good. I'm looking around my room right now.
I love
see if
the
there's anything
idea
else.
of that.
Right?
I love the
It
idea
almost
of the
feels like
backpack.
you-
And then like doing back squats. Like if you have a PVC pipe at home, just like practicing your back squat
Yeah.
position. Like I really miss like powerlifting and like Olympic weightlifting. And like I really miss it. And so like it's just not the same because I don't have like a rack in my house and I'm just like, I just want to lift heavy things.
Right.
I'm gonna now try putting a bunch of books in a backpack and just do some squats.
Give it a shot. Try it too, where you put the books in the bag and instead of wearing it, you carry it in the front in like a bear hug, and then walk up and down stairs like that. Because that's going to engage your shoulder, the front delts, and the biceps and the core a lot. Goblet squats with a heavy bag, bruh.
That sounds
It'll blow you
horrible. I
up.
love it.
Yeah, it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck so much.
It sounds like an intense sensation.
Yeah.
I was gonna even say like it's a spicy modification too.
Spicy. Muy picante, yeah. Oh, and a lacrosse ball, of course. I think we mentioned that earlier. Yeah, a lacrosse ball or a baseball, you said, tennis ball to work out knots. If you don't have a foam roller, put up against the wall, dig around in there. And I think no one's going to get massages these days, or at least I hope you're not. So that might be the second best thing. And honestly, that actually brings up something that might be really important too, is like accessibility to the equipment itself. Like if you want to pick up a kettlebell, if you want to pick up dumbbells, good luck, dude, because they are sold out everywhere. Like straight, like I've been telling my clients for a long time, get a kettlebell, like now's the time, do it. And then like 3 weeks ago, like everyone was like, we're out, they're done. And like their people at the foundries are like quarantined, so they're literally not even making more kettlebells. They're just gone. They're extinct. Yeah, it sucks. And now like a few of the places that I really look to have opened back up, and then people are scooping them and then reselling them for like $700, which like I've definitely gotten $700 of value out of my kettlebell, right? But they should sell for like around $100. Yeah.
See, my CrossFit gym, you could actually check them out because they're just doing online classes now. Like you could like go in and like say, hey, I'm coming in at this time. There'd be a coach there, or they would put it out for you, and you just sign off that, okay, I have one of the 10 kg kettlebells, like, and you just you just have it until quarantine is done. So like that was really...
one of the gyms that I train at, Soda Fitness, we did that as well, and we had even had a couple people come out and get the Airdyne bikes. And now they're posting all the time like, I wish I hadn't done that because now I have the Airdyne here and I just have to do it.
Like, great. I thought I wanted to do this, but I lied.
Yeah, right. This is a huge mistake.
And now I have to do it.
I would say the only other thing I would add is I've sounds kind of odd, but I've used my water bottle as resistance before. So like I'll put like this is my Wonder Woman one. I'll put like a bunch of ice and water in here, and then I'll just do like tricep dips. And like it's one of those things where if you do the movement at a slower pace, you do actually feel it. Like I was shocked putting ice and water into this 20-ounce water bottle, doing that, or even just like concentrated like bicep curls and just really like slowly doing the movement. That's something I've done for myself, and that's worked out too.
You can use water bottles as well as like foam rollers. So like if you have like metal water bottles or like a Nalgene bottle,
Oh,
like something like
yeah.
sturdy, I wouldn't do it with a blender bottle because it'll pop open and it'll be a mess.
Mhm.
But like my Hydro Flask, I love it because it's metal, it's sturdy, it gives you that same
Yeah.
sort of pressure release. Awesome.
I never thought of that before. That's a good idea.
I haven't,
Yeah.
yeah. I think a lot of it too boils down to creativity too, which is
Mhm.
not a strength of mine, but even just looking around, I mean, even here, I mean, I'm seeing video games and my
Right.
Magic the Gathering cards are in that binder over there. That's super heavy. Or what else? I have a big stormtrooper with holding a pumpkin. I don't know. That could probably be a shoulder press. I don't know. You know, but in all seriousness, though, I think it's just being creative with what you have.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, hey, that stormtrooper holding a pumpkin is probably like 7 pounds at least, probably.
Right. Let's go for
Yeah.
some squats.
So
Go for some
I don't know if
lunges.
I have anything. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like back squat. The
Mhm.
pumpkin would probably hit you in the back of the neck, but I don't know.
Put it in a backpack.
Yeah. So I think it's
Yeah.
there you go. Put the stormtrooper in a backpack. That's your weight if you don't want to use textbooks.
Mhm.
Enclose the stormtrooper. But yeah, yeah, whatever you have access to. The other thing I was gonna say, this does involve spending money, so I could see why you wouldn't want to do it, but what how much he paid for this or where he got it. And if that's, again, I know it's spending money, but if you wanted to see your bike, that would be probably an easier way to do it. Or, oh, sorry, it might be an easier way to like, but that's spending money. So, yeah, the bike. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there we
Yes.
go. No, I was gonna say the red bike stand if you want to bring your bike indoors.
Mhm. Yeah, I had one of those in the basement for a while. It's like a wheelie deal. Is that the official word for the back of the bike? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one for like
Yeah.
$50 on Craigslist, so they don't have to be terribly expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you said, using anything. So even if you have like the Star Wars helmet of the guy, the stormtrooper, and you're doing squats, if that doesn't feel hard enough, you can always adjust the movement yourself. So if the weight isn't heavy enough, make the move harder. So if a squat isn't too hard, try a lunge. And if that's not too hard, try a jumping lunge. And if that's not too hard, try skipping jumping lunges. You know, there's always more. Plyometrics actually a really useful tool if you're looking to up the intensity. You know, I feel like we've talked a lot about being very adaptive and starting from very brand new. But if you're someone who is used to doing very intense workouts and suddenly you don't have that access to this equipment or the space anymore, like how do I've seen a lot of memes like, yeah, you can do push-ups and pull-ups all day, but how do you overload your legs to stimulate growth? How do you get general adaptation syndrome on your legs when you have no weights at all to speak of? And the answer is stairs or sprints or hills or just like so many jump lunges. God, I hate them so much.
Or kids.
But Lord knows I've done enough of them. Or kids, yeah, just pick those
If you
guys
have
up
lots
and
of
just
them,
run with
just
them.
one in front, one in back. You're good.
Yeah. Although to just like wrestle them a lot and just like wrangle them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
Actually,
an
with
arm
friends-
workout for them if they're curling onto you, and then
Yeah.
core if they're
Hold on
using
tight,
your
kids.
legs. And then aerobic for you if you're running around while they do that.
Right. It's a full
Yeah.
family workout.
Exactly. I guess the last thing I'd say is don't forget to try things that you remember from when you yourself were a kid, within reason. So like if you did ballet class when you were a kid, maybe try a simple bar routine, because chances are you did the same one for year after year and a year, and it's
Yeah.
probably burned into your brain. Just don't start with the hard stuff. Like soccer drills, sprints
yeah.
that you might have done for football, just going back and forth between the lines, pretty easy, and you know you can race your kid.
Yeah. That's a great idea, actually. And I assume most of that stuff would probably get you outside and getting that sunshine as well, which is really, really helpful.
Yeah, as long as it stays nice.
It's just a crapshoot, dude, in Minnesota too. Yeah.
It makes us tough.
We all nervously laugh.
Yeah, right. Hope it doesn't snow tomorrow. I don't think it's supposed to snow. That's just an example.
When was the last time it snowed last year?
Right? Oh my God. Like,
crap. I'm so sorry if I invoked anything. That was not my intent.
What offerings do we make? Do we have to do like a non-rain dance or something like that? Snow dance.
Yeah, I mean the only other thing I really wanted to bring up, Todd, when you get a chance, if you could bring up the Instagram screenshots I had sent, just because with being in quarantine, I know I'm like probably more harsh on my body right now. Thank you.
What up?
Okay, no, I screenshotted just a couple body positive accounts like I really love, just some positivity and just permission to just really give yourself a little extra love. And so these were a couple I really liked. I picked them just because they it's a more diverse body type, and I also find that they show like fat rolls, which I think is so important. Like just I don't know, just having a positive feed right now and just reminding yourself that it's a really tough time. Like, you know, you have permission to love the body that you're in. So I just screenshotted a couple of these just to have that positivity. You know, we all are our harshest. We all are harshest on ourselves, and I just love all of these accounts. They just make me happy and just give you permission to really just give your body a little extra love. So
Body Posi Panda.
Those up. Yes.
Yeah. Body Posi Panda is delightful.
Yes. Oh, good.
Like she talks a lot about like fat phobia and like internalized fat phobia and like sort of how it plays out in the world. It kind of goes back to that placing moral judgments on food, on your body, on working out, you know, fitness. Like, what does that mean for everybody? Because everyone's or healthy, not fitness, but like healthy, like everyone's healthy looks different. But no, absolutely fantastic.
Yep. And she has a book out, Body Posi Panda. Yeah, she has a book out that dismantles diet culture. I just bought it. I have not read it yet, but I will probably read it in quarantine just because yeah, it's just a good reminder.
Cool.
You know what that book is called?
Oh, I could run and grab it. It's on my end table. Here, that's what Google's for. Let me look quick. I could just grab it. Oh wait, it's Body Positive Power: How to Stop Dieting, Make Peace with Your Body, and Live. And her name is Megan Jane Crabb.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I love her to pieces. She's just so like fun and I love her.
If you are finding too right now, like you're having a harder time with food, or maybe it's like something that you've struggled with before, if you like podcasts, there is a podcast. Hold on, now I'm going to look it up because I don't want to mess up the name of the podcast. It's absolutely delightful. It's by a registered dietitian who focuses on the health at every size model and intuitive eating. Oh my gosh. Now that's it's a food psych podcast. Okay. And it's with Christy Harrison.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're ever finding you need like a little bit of extra sort of like space to like kind of think about it and deal with it and listen to somebody else talk about it and how it is okay to, you know, have struggles like with food, but also like, hey, like you are great as you are. Your body is strong and powerful and it does so many cool, amazing things for you. Food psych is great. So
Cool. Thank you. I'll have to look that up too.
Yeah, it's awesome. I fell into it last year, and I was like, there's a nice like backlog of things, and like she interviews different people, so it's awesome. So she interviews like different like celebrities who deal with it, but also like just people who are like maybe bloggers or things like that, which is awesome. So it's kind of like a range of things for your interests.
Very cool. You guys have been like a
Another,
font of information for me tonight.
Yeah, no, same. No, I was gonna say the one other podcast that popped in my head is Jamila Jamil has a podcast now for her I Weigh movement. So more of just recognizing your worth is beyond the scale, and that whole Instagram page too, I think it's just called I Weigh. But it just shows like submissions of what people submit, and then they say, well, like, I weigh, I'm a great sister, or like, I don't know, it's just it's getting away from the scale being your worth and your health. So that's another one I would say.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that we haven't covered? Otherwise, I mean, are we ready to kind of conclude, or where are we at?
I think I got it all off my chest.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've learned a lot from you guys already. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Why don't we do like
out there.
Yeah, let's do like a concluding thing. So like maybe whether you plug the socials, like where you're at, why don't we just do like a conclusion? Where can people find you? And then we'll be good.
Cool. I'll jump in on that first. You can find me on socials at D20 Athletics at pretty much anything. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I don't really use my YouTube a whole lot or my Twitter, but I'm very active on Instagram. Look for me, D20 Athletics. I run d20athletics.com. That's my personal training website. It's all remote training. Check it out. I have a 2-week free trial. All my training is delivered via a free to download app called Train Heroic. There are workouts already on my site. There's also t-shirts. This one is a one-off. I'm sorry you can't have it. It's mine. And you can find me on Facebook. I have a D20 Nerd Herd. That's my social group. That's where I stream my workout classes every Monday morning at like 9 or 11 o'clock, something like that. It's usually bodyweight stuff too. I think last week I did a kickboxing-based workout. And those are all saved on the thing. So if you're looking for something to do, check that one out. It's free. You can join in. I'll let you in. Trust me.
I'm Ray. You can find a lot of my writing on Twin Cities Geek. I know I have one book review at least in the pipeline that's going to be coming out at some point. Otherwise, I have a lot that's on there. You can find me on Twitter at @sship_suburbia. That's pretty about it.
Cool. I'm up. I'm Britt. You can find me on, right now it's just email. So it's Britt Johnson Yoga. So BrittJohnson yoga@gmail.com. I'm looking at, once this school year is starting to wrap up right now, so within the next few weeks, I'm looking at doing donation-based yoga classes, probably through either Zoom or Facebook events. So if you're interested, if you have questions about how to make yoga accessible for you, please feel free to just give me an email. This is not like super secret information. You shouldn't have to pay anyone to figure out how to make yoga and movement feel good for your body. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Sweet. And I've attempted to be a host. I'm Mariah. You can find me on Twin Cities Geek. And then I primarily use my Instagram at bizarrebrunette0117. So you can find me there. And then, yes, I definitely want to do that magical yoga, Harry Potter. I'm going to be there next Friday, 100%. So with that being said, thank you all for just like panelists, anyone who sat and watched us talk for almost an hour and a half. Your attention
you.
span is really
Wow.
good. I'm
Plus 2 hours.
thankful for that.
All right.
Yeah. So thank you all. And everyone stay safe out there. Please wear your masks, wash your hands.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.